Yeah, so first and foremost, we cannot protect if we do not know what we want to protect, right? So organizations and governments need to first discover what they need to protect. We will know of an attack only when we undergo one. There are two kinds of organizations which know they have been hacked, and the organizations which don't know. Everybody has been hacked, right? Through software, through hardware, etc. Now we cannot wait for an attack to come. We don't know when it will strike, where it has originated from, what will it do to the organization, its customers, their confidential private data, the reputation of the organization. We have no control. A red team is a team working against us, but in an ethical way, Anju. Right? So there is a process to the madness, right? So otherwise, madness will all artificial intelligence in a SOC then uses this machine learning algorithms to detect anomalies that may indicate a cyber attack which is underway or will be in the process of happening in the next few time spots, right? It can be a day, it can be a week. Meta theater, I call it lassie. L for land, A for air, S is space, CY is cyber. Now, any breach in this war penda theater challenges not only the territorial integrity, strategic autonomy, it also impacts the sustained growth of the country.
Hi everyone, welcome to Techmasters. Today we have with us Sudhansu Nayak, CISO and Head Cybersecurity. Sudhansu specializes and spearheads enterprise cybersecurity, cloud and data transformation solutions. He advises CXOs and executive boards on cyber risk and techno-operational mitigation, data privacy and protection, and compliance and governance. He has also contributed to the building of various components of national cybersecurity policies. His research and views has been cited in Center for Land Warfare Studies, the Cyber Defense Review, Army Cyber Institute Australia, DQ Channels, Tech Panda, and others. To bridge the cybersecurity skill gap, he mentors corporates, students, and startups. A passionate speaker, he talks on cybersecurity and its engagements in international policies and digital transformation. His current research is focused on the interplay of cybersecurity with the global peace, data espionage, climate change, international trade, and strategic diplomacy. Welcome to Techmasters, Sudhanshu.
Thank you. Thank you, Anju and Techmasters, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Sudhanshu, recently there has been a spate of cyber attacks. This has made cybersecurity the biggest existential challenge in the times of modern corporates and even governments. We hear of regular document leaks and we hear of blackmails. This brings a lot of disrepute to the attacked, given today's context where almost everything in the tech is being weaponized. How can one, whether one in an organization or in government, be prepared for these kind of attacks?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we cannot protect if we do not know what we want to protect, right? So organizations and governments need to first discover what they need to protect, right? So that is the first thing. Now, how do they do it? It is not actually very difficult. Two activities need to be done. Number one, defensibility, resilience, risk assessment study. That will help them identify the assets, the critical assets, assess and prioritize the risks associated with those assets, and then implement the controls. The second stage is to review them continuously in what we call as the second implement of the process, called as the red and purple teaming exercises. Now, this together can help us provide a systematic approach to get the visibility, the discovery, and it will help reduce the likelihood and impact of the potential malicious attack. So think of any cybersecurity attack or a system like that of a patient which the doctor is trying to cure. Every cybersecurity attack needs a prophylaxis. Systems need to be identified, symptoms need to be identified, diagnosis, and then the corresponding post-exposure guidelines will differ for each patient. These have been documented in multiple fora: MITRE ATT&CK, ISO guidelines, computer emergency response teams, third country recommendations, in-country compliance frameworks. So essentially, to build resilience, companies should adopt a very healthy mix of solutions and services. That is very essential.
All right. What should corporates and governments do in the context of heightened use of evolving technology? Technology, as we all know, cuts both ways. So, how should they prepare for the future?
Just five guidelines. That is what I recommend to all my customers and also my partners. Right. Number one, don't follow your peers blindly. Your technology stack, your business areas, your data flow, everything is different and unique in nature. So get the
Yes.
appropriate technologies and integrate them in your organization properly. Number two, don't buy technologies which have multiple overlapping functional specifications. This will create what we call as a digital bulge. It is wasteful. And see, always remember, it is never too many number of tools to be implemented. It is how one integrates them into the organization or enterprise fabric. That is what saves you, and that is what differentiates the organization. Number three, don't recruit skill sets in all digital domains which are there in the market, even though it is a digitally disrupting technology area. They will just drain your finances. Outsource them to proper managed services vendors or managed security services partners. Remember the old cassettes, CDs, DVDs, and after that, I think Blu-ray discs, they all came with very rapid inset, and they also went through rapid sunset. Number four, always invest in what we call as a balanced technology portfolio. Don't increase too much on endpoint security, don't decrease too much on service security, etc. It has to be properly balanced for your organization in terms of platforms and services. Number five, don't blindly follow this analyst firms or research reports, etc. The organization may or may not be in the quadrants, may not be in the waves, may not be in the top five, etc., in peer insights, etc. But there are very small, small technology firms which are on their way to becoming unicorns, right? They are delivering knockout solutions, completely, edge of the seat solutions. So do a POC, do a sandbox. If it fits your organization, take them, integrate them well. So just five rules, that's it. Don't need to go overboard.
Right. It is an interesting point you just made here. Balance between technology, platforms, and services. In fact, we have done our own research in this matter, and what we read about red teaming on one hand and advances in AI on the other, this sounded promising. I mean, red teaming being a service and AI being a technology platform, what would be your reflection on that?
Okay, so there are good question. Good question. There are two things which you have asked me here. Okay, let me answer them one by one, and then I'll try to get the connection
Okay.
done right in the discussion. Now, see, we will know of an attack only when we undergo one. There are two kinds of organizations: organizations which know they have been hacked, and the organizations which don't know. Everybody has been
Yeah.
hacked, right? Through software, through hardware, etc. Now we cannot wait for an attack to come. We don't know when it will strike, where it will strike, where it has originated from, what will it do to the organization, its customers, their confidential private data, the reputation of the organization. We have no control over these attack parameters. It will happen when it happens. But we are defenders, right? So it is our organization, we have to defend. So we can only hone our own defense. How do we do that? We have certain guidelines, and one effective way to set the guidelines and the solution is what is called as red teaming. Now, what is a red team? A red team is a team working against us, but in an ethical way. The red team simulates what we expect or anticipate as a real world cyber attack, right?
Okay.
So any organization and governments, whoever has some kind of weakness or attack surface that can be exploited by real world attackers, the red teamers, they simulate that attack, and when conducted regularly, this also becomes the security defenses of the organizations becomes very effective and up to date. But then the red teaming exercise has to happen regularly on a I recommend 6 months, and sometimes annually. Your second point was on artificial intelligence, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So see, once you have now identified what your attack surfaces are, right? So this technology cuts both ways. So red teamer knows that these are the attack surfaces. You also know, the attacker will also discover. Now, what does the artificial intelligence help us in? Right? Artificial intelligence helps us use that ethically, helps us to use it ethically and defend ourselves. So essentially what it does, in a security operations center, artificial intelligence uses machine learning algorithms. So on a volume of vast amounts of data, the machine learning algorithms will start getting trained. They will try to detect anomalies that will indicate a cyber attack. Artificial intelligence can help us detect threats in real time, providing the SOC analyst with the information they need to respond quickly and effectively to mitigate the impact of the security incident. Right?
So, Sudhanshu, what happens in red teaming? I mean, I'm sure there is a process or a checklist one needs to follow, right?
Yes, you're right there, Anju. Right, so there is a process to the madness, right? So otherwise, madness will all there be, right? So let me outline certain steps. Say I'm a red teamer, right, and I'm trying to figure out the attack surfaces of an organization. So what do I do? First, I sit down and identify what is my scope of work, right? Which are the critical assets which I need the organizations to protect, right, from malicious hackers outside. So once the exercise and the domain is ready, I will start conducting reconnaissance. It can be to gather or information about the organization systems, the networks, the users, how they are interacting with the various systems. If there is anything on cloud, identify the vulnerabilities, identify potential targets. Once I figure out there are chinks in the system in terms of a process or a technology, I will want to weaponize it. So I'll create certain attack tools, certain techniques that will be used to exploit these vulnerabilities for the organization. Now my weapons are ready. I need to deliver this to the organization in some way or other. I need a delivery mechanism, right? So when the attack is being delivered, right? So it can be a very simple mechanism. I can, maybe just do a mind map and try to breach into the system by doing a tailgating, for example. Log into a system, right? Now, delivery of attack can happen either through a software mechanism, it can happen through a firmware mechanism, but attack needs to be delivered. That much I know, right?
Yeah, let me ask here
Now,
something.
hmm,
Uh, like you were just telling me, how is the attack delivered? Is it the social engineering or something else?
social engineering is one such methodology, right? Just think about, very innocuous things. You go to a conference, you have been gifted a USB drive, which is very, 256 GB, etc. You feel very happy. Or you find a USB drive on the road, you come and plug it in. That compromised USB drive can also wreak havoc not only onto your system, but also on the organization to which you belong to. Very innocuous systems. And if there is a cafe close to your organization, I can maybe tamper the USB charging drive there, and anybody from the organization who has gone and plugged in the cable to the phone there, through the phone I can launch a attack. So my delivery of the attack can happen in many different ways, and once I launch or deliver this attack into the organization, then starts the vulnerabilities exploitation. I start exploiting the vulnerabilities. Now, what do I do? Once you know I figure out that there are 10 different vulnerabilities, I go very systematically. I figure out which are the sensitive data points, which are the systems, and it doesn't end there, right?
Oh God, it
So
doesn't end there also.
no, it doesn't end there. I try to be in the system and try to figure out if there are any further systems which I can exploit, certain places where I can escalate my privileges and get to totally dismantle certain systems or take control of some systems using my command and control. Install a backdoor maybe or other malicious software, and while doing it, I will keep on erasing the breadcrumbs from the logs so that nobody traces me, right? So it becomes very nasty,
That is as
right?
real as it gets.
Yeah,
So,
it does.
when does it end?
That depends on the red team. Red team is an ethical team, but the real world hacker is not, right? So red team, after they are thoroughly, satisfied that okay, I have identified, or rather we have identified the various vulnerabilities which are there, the attack surfaces which are there, which can be manipulated by real world attackers, we go and then project a report to the management, a very specific, it is also not a very openly discussed report. This report will not only have the various vulnerabilities of the system, it will also provide specific recommendations as per timeline to improve the organization's security defenses.
That's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And meanwhile, what role does AI play in the defensive strategy?
See, artificial intelligence. So, red teaming is one exercise that you do to figure out what are the problems that are taking place. Now, while this is taking place, somebody has to defend. Now, artificial intelligence takes time to learn from the system, it takes time to stabilize. The results will come in initially, but they will not be very accurate. There will be lots of false positives, lots of false negatives that need to be addressed. But as the data grows, the system machine learning starts training on the variety of data volumes. They start correlating that with the global threat intelligence, which we collect from the from across platforms. As I mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence in a SOC then uses this machine learning algorithms to detect anomalies that may indicate a cyber attack which is underway or will be in the process of happening in the next few time spots, right? It can be a day, it can be a week. Now you can start reaping these benefits of artificial intelligence over the few months time. It needs patience, it needs a sound machine learning discipline. AI will not only help you in detecting the threats in real time, it will also provide the SOC analyst with the information they need to respond quickly, to mitigate the impact of a security incident. So as the time progresses, your AI will become stronger and stronger to learn from past incidents and improve its accuracy of incident response. That is when it becomes very effective in detecting and responding and sometimes preventing attacks as the time goes on. So it takes time to mature, but it does impact in a great way.
So I believe what you're saying here is that there is no one remedy that will help against tech advanced cyber attacks. We need to deploy an array of countermeasures in this.
Oh, yes. So you cannot just, I have come across organizations which implement only one antivirus solution and they think that is the end of the world, right? So you are totally correct, Anju, there. Now think of it this way. So every organization is a microcosm of a country. Now, if a country is attacked, right, it is not a simple land attack or a sea attack or a air attack. It is a war pentatheater. I call it LASSI, L for land, A for air, S C, S is space, CY is cyber. Now, any breach in this war pentatheater challenges not only the territorial integrity, strategic autonomy, it also impacts the sustained growth of the country. Anything, any system goes down, any infiltration, incursion, incapacitation of the systems, it can either temporarily paralyze or permanently cripple. Anything which is dependent on these five elements in this pentatheater. It can be food, it can be water, communications, dams, defense energy, etc. So exactly similar to that, if there is no comprehensive array of countermeasures for each component of the organization when it is interacting with the market, then it will be problematic. But then it doesn't end there. Continuous monitoring and staying prepared for any incident response is also extremely vital.
That was pretty comprehensive and informative and insightful, Sudhanshu. Thank you so much for coming on Techmasters.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. The pleasure was mine.
Thank you so much. And we are looking forward to seeing you here again. Thank you.
Sure. Anytime. Yeah.